Hi, I'm Don Meyer, the basketball coach at Northern State University in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Our clinic presentation today is going to deal with game planning and handling special situations during the game. In clinics, you want to get all the good ideas, but you can't use all the good ideas. Nothing will screw you up more than to try to implement everything you got from a clinic. Your job when you go home is to pull things out that will work for you and your situation, or fit your personality, your personnel, your team's personality. I think the biggest thing in game planning and handling situations during a game is your attitude about the whole thing. You have to be calm in the midst of strife, pressure, adversity, people coming after your job, officials cheating you, players that you can't deal with real well, parents, whatever you're dealing with, you got to be able to be calm in the midst of the storm, in the eye of the storm. I would write down 3 words, and we have our players do this every year. Play, coach, officiate. And then circle the one you want to do this year. Because I see a lot of coaches that think they can play. So they're out there playing with the guys, and that's not your job. I think coaches that are passing during drills lose the most important thing they should have, their eyes. Because they're getting the next ball and passing. I saw a workout at Kentucky one time with their girls team. They went through a 40-minute workout. I don't think the coach saw one follow-through. And there wasn't one follow-through because he wasn't there to coach it, because he was passing. Get a toss back or get an administrator to do the passing. But you got to use your eyes to teach. I think the thing that really hurts players is when they try to coach or they try to officiate. I think the thing that hurts coaches when they try to officiate. So we may lose a little bit because we're not bitching at the referees all the time, but there's a saying in the Bible, a nagging wife is like rain hitting the roof all the time, sort of like in the movie Gauntlet with Clint Eastwood when she's saying, Shockley, don't die on me, and he goes, nag, nag, nag. That's just what the referee's thinking when you're constantly chipping at them. They just tune you out after a while. But if you do get upset when you have a reason to be upset, then they'll say to the supervisor, he never gets upset or she never gets upset, but when they do, they're usually right, so we listen to them. So I think that's really big to get off the officiating. Now the cards, there's some good things on the cards. I want to recommend you go to our website, www.coachmeyer.com, and there's about 150 handouts there that you can use in your program. There's a series of newsletters on the home page that are written by our coaches and our players about different parts of the game and our program. I'm going to give you 2 email addresses. One is to get our newsletters that we send out to coaches about 1 a month. And you get that one by going to SCSMILEY, SC Smiley, SCSMILEY, SCSMILEY, SC Smiley at northern.edu, at northern.edu. Now to get us, we've got a bunch of stuff on computer we can send to you if you email this one. And it'll have about 10 different clinic things that you can use. And that's what this one's the SAS Stevens. SAS Stevens. SASTEVENS. SA Stevens at Wolves, WOLVES, northern.edu. You got to put Wolves in the one with Stevens. And then my email address, if you can't remember any of these, just I can forward it to these guys, is MEYERD at northern.edu. So if you can't get the other two, just email me and I'll forward it to Steve or to Scott, and they'll get the stuff to you. Now, my son has a really good thing about players and evaluating players, and he evaluates all the high school players for Rivals.com. A good player knows where he is on the floor. A good player knows where he or she is on the floor. A great player knows where everybody is on the floor. And the superb player knows where everybody is on the floor and what they're going to do. A good player knows where they are on the floor. Great player knows where everybody is on the floor. The superior player knows where everybody is on the floor and what they're going to do. And having one of those players makes you look like a really good coach. So that's what you've got to develop, whether you're a junior high, high school, college, or professional coach. You've got to develop that player. Chris Paul is the reason the Hornets are where they are, because he is an unusual player who can see everything on the floor. And there are two kinds of point guards. There's the sensing point guard who never makes a turnover, but loses a lot of assist passes too, because he doesn't want to turn the ball over. So he throws it right where the player is. The intuitive point guard, which would be a Steve Nash, throws the ball where the player should be. And he'll throw it away and the coach will chew him out, but everybody knows that kid didn't go where he should have gone, because that's exactly where he should have been to catch the ball. So the sensing and the intuitive point guards. Now, in regard to shot selection, which is the single biggest thing in winning and losing games probably, the first one is from Tim Jankovich. He's at Illinois State now. He was at Kansas. This is great. One bad shot equals one bad shot. Two bad shots equals one bad player. Three bad shots equals one bad coach. One bad shot's just one bad shot. Two bad shots, one bad player. Three bad shots, one bad coach. Now, there's only one reason kids miss shots. They're either poor shooters, bad shooters are always open, Pete Carrill, or they're taking bad shots. There's only two reasons to miss shots. You can't shoot, or you're taking crappy shots. And that's the whole difference between teams that have less talent and win over teams that have super talent and find a way to lose the big games. Then the last thing I want to give you is, I heard it from Paul Patterson at Taylor University. I do an academy with him every spring. There's a time in the game we're not looking for a shot we can make. We're looking for a shot we can't miss. Last possession of the game, coach, I'm a 40% three. Yeah, that's right, you are. And this is one possession, and we need to take a 60% shot, not a 40% shot. So just because a guy's a good three, that doesn't mean you take the three at that time. We want a shot we can't miss, not a shot we can make. And that's a big one late in the game. Let's talk real quickly about the cycle of the game. And when you email into Scott, tell him you for sure want the cycle of the game. There's a handout on that. And I think it's on your packet, but if it isn't, this will remind him to put it on there. I always use a dictaphone when I'm on the road, at practices, at workouts. Scott, make sure we got the cycle of the game on the clinic packet for the coaches that we email out. Cycle of the game. First one's defensive coverage. You got to be able to cover defensively, and that involves everything from transition and talk to ball pressure, how much you can exert and where you pick up, to whether you're going to deny the wings or deny the top, keeping it out of the lane. All your defensive coverage, whether you're going to play one defense or 2 or 3 defenses or boxing ones or whatever you're doing defensive coverage. Number 2 on the cycle of the game, shot pressure. We're watching the demonstrations on the gun over there, and they're closing out like this. I mean, you're not going to get a closeout like that unless it's an alley and there's some drunk staggering up to you. You're going to get a real closeout, and people are going to leave their floor, because if they don't, good shooters use their heads as a gun sight on the rim. You got to leave the floor to change the rhythm of the shot. You can't give up rhythm shots. So shot pressure, you're trying to change or alter every shot. Not necessarily block it, but if a kid has the ability to block shots and isn't in position to take a charge, he'll block a left-handed layup with this hand and a right-handed layup with this hand, so he knocks it to a teammate. He won't go like this, because this doesn't bring your hand higher. Keep it up here. Hitler was a heck of a shot blocker. Then after shot pressure, we call it BOPCRO, number 3. Block out, pursue, chin the rebound, outlet. Block out, pursue, chin the rebound, and outlet. I remember Gonzaga losing a chance to go to the national tournament, to the Final Four. Guy put the ball up here. He was a heck of a player, Batista. And the kid just grabs the ball away from him. The white guy from Kansas that played Khan, or whatever his name is, he was really good at chinning the ball. So block out, pursue, chin the rebound, and outlet. And if you have a point guard, guarding the other team's point guard, he can go down and help block out the other team's best rebounder. Because he's not going to have to block out their point guard. And if they do bring him to the boards, then you're going to score. You're going to get a lot of fast breaks on that kind of team. Okay, now you've got the ball. Number 4 is sureness. That's a Dick Bennett term. Take care of the ball. Value possession of the ball. It's everything that's involved in getting a good shot. Getting a great shot. The passing, the receiving, the cutting, the screening. Everything involved. Not just dribbling and passing, but everything to receive. Shortening the pass. The last 3 feet belong to the receiver. Against a press, the last 5 feet belong to the receiver. That receiver's got to go in there and get the ball, so they run through him instead of running through the passing lane and getting the ball. You play against athletic teams that shoot passing lanes, you've got to shorten every pass. So sureness. I like passing in rhythm to the shooter, you know what I mean? Throw it to him where he can do something with it. That's on the floor, and that's on his body too. You throw him shin burgers, it's going to be hard for him to shoot well. He's going to have a heck of a shot fake to regain his balance. So there's so many things. I like the term that Jeff Van Gundy uses. Pass on time, on target. On time, on target. Right there in the shooting pocket. Boy, that's a big deal, That's a big deal in special situations, isn't it, to get a good pass. And then the last thing is offensive board coverage, OBC. So if a shot's taken from this side of the floor, I've got to get to the slice of pie over on the other side of the floor. If a shot's taken head on, I've got to get to the slice of pie right in here. So we want our wings running to there to rebound the elbows when the shot's taken head on. The best offensive move a post man could have is for the ball to be shot and he rolls out over here. That's the best offensive post move in basketball, to roll to the weak side boards when the ball is shot. And everything we do, like in our break package, they'll sprint the floor, wing shoots it, they roll to the weak side. Anything we do in offense, we're always looking for that post man rolling to the weak side. That's a really big deal. So that's the 5 things in the cycle of the game. Defensive coverage, shot pressure, BOPCRO, block out, pursue, chin the rebound, outlet, sureness, shot discipline, and then offensive board coverage. Obviously, shot discipline, you got to have your best players taking the most shots, but they got to be quality shots. And you can't, there's 2 kinds of players that get you beat as far as shooting the ball. The players that have the hero complex, that they're going to win every game for you, coach. They're not going to see anybody else. They're going to win it. And then the players that hide, that should be stepping up. So you either got the heroes or the hiders that are going to get you beat. And you got to really understand your kid's personality to get the toughness in them to pass up a shot when they shouldn't try to be the hero, and to work harder to get shots when they've been hiding. So those are the things that we look at that we think are really, really important. Now, one last thing, and then we'll start doing some things. Lonnie Kruger had a great, great statement. And we all need to remember it, because one thing I can do, I can come to your gym after you lose a game, and I'll bet your practices are a whole lot different than they were leading up to that loss. It's like you're trying to binge purge now because you screwed up so bad with getting your team tough enough, ready to play. Lonnie Kruger, plan, prepare, practice, and play like you just lost your last game. If I jack around with our guys and joke around before practice, we never have a good practice. And we practice anywhere from 5 o'clock in the morning to 6:30 in the morning, depending on the time of the year. Last couple weeks of October, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Later in the year, it might be 6:30 up to about 7:30, late in the year. But we practice in the mornings, because then we get the most important thing done right away. And we don't have all that Mickey Mouse stuff wearing on us. Plus, our kids, they know they can't screw around. Plus, it lets them be students. They got labs, they can go to labs, all that stuff. There's no teacher going to be up at 5 o'clock. You're safe that way. They don't show up till about 11. And then they're mad because they can't go home at 1. So you're okay if you go early in the morning. But just try to plan, prepare, practice, and play like you lost your last game, and you'll be a lot better coach for it. And then goof around after the practice is over, not before. Now, I've had open heart surgery, 5 bypass. I didn't want the doctor telling me any farmer's daughter jokes leading up to the surgery. He can tell me all he wants after it's over, but I like him sort of intense and serious when I show up. Now, on this sheet here, the first thing we have is where we put our personnel in the scouting report. We don't put names. We just want to know the numbers. Our guys are not real smart, so we just go numbers. And then we'll put their height and their year in school, because we want to know who the freshmen are. We want to know who the veterans are. We just want a number. Then we'll put driver, dead 3. A dead 3, more than half his shots come from 3-point range. He shoots very few free throws. He's a dead 3. He comes off the bus doing this, and he's not worried about the line, because he'd rather shoot it almost out of bounds than be up next to the line. That's a dead 3. We might put dead 3, must dribble. So it'd be D3, MD, must dribble. He has to dribble to shoot the ball. If he doesn't dribble to shoot the ball, you're going to come out. If he shoots a standing 3, you're coming out. So you got to have long closeouts then, don't you? You got to run at him, and if he goes around the guy, that's too bad. He went around, but you don't yell at the guy. Now, if the guy can get out there and still stop him from driving, then you got a really good player. But not everybody can do that. If we know a guy, we might have a guy we play off of more, or gap more, or dork. If we dork him, we just stand in the lane, and his guy just plays in the lane. Now, you're going to have guys like that you're going to play, particularly in Division I. There's a lot of dorks in Division I that can't shoot. They don't play in Division II and NAIA, because all those guys are a step slow and they can shoot your eyeballs out. They're just not as athletic. Davidson was the best team in the tournament. They may not have the best players, but they were the best team. They knew how to play, and almost all of them could shoot. And that's hard to guard when everybody can shoot the ball and you have a little bit of a post game. Then down here you see the categories, the 3s, the must dribbles, the wolf, and a guy you'd wolf would be a guy that I'm guarding 33. Every time the ball goes in the post, I'm wolfing the post. I'm leaving and going on the post. We can wolf off of him because he can't shoot. So when we wolf off of a guy to attack the post, then we don't rotate to him and leave the best shooter to rotate to the dork. Let the dork shoot. Don't guard him. You need to know who the principal's son is. Because if he's starting because the coach wants to keep his job. How do you know he's the principal's son? Because he's got a nerd pack right here. You know those plastic things they used to slide in their shirt pocket? There might be the banker's son who owns the note on the coach's house starting. Those two guys. The balls, we always started those guys, but when the ball went up for the tip, then we sent subs up for them. Hopefully nothing would happen. Somebody would violate the line. We'd always try to violate the circle so they could come out after the tip, and then we could start playing. Then we've got no catches. A no-catch guy. Like Curry is a no-catch guy from Davidson. No catch. Don't let him catch the ball. If he backdoors, that's somebody else's job. You got to no-catch him. You're no help one pass away on a no-catch. You can fake and retreat, but don't you ever go out here and get him. We always say, my body's here, but my mind's back here. A guy drives this way, and this guy gives help. What's going to happen? That guy's going to shoot a three. Do you think the coach is going to put his worst shooter in the corner that they drive to? Oh, this coach has got a tough job, and he might lose his job. We're going to put our worst shooter in the ball side corner so they can help off of him and stop our drives. Look, what made Davidson so tough? That white guard that had no athleticism had a great change of pace, and he had the guts to go to the rack every time, and he could see. He could see. He was great. And then those guys all played off of him. That was a nice team. Okay, then you got drivers. You don't close out long on drivers. And we have a thing called 5-spot closeout. We'll do closeouts. Our coaches will have basketballs, and we'll work on getting out there, getting a hand above the ball and all that stuff. But we'll say short closeouts, long closeouts, dead threes, 32. They got to know who 32 is. So they're knowing those numbers. We put the numbers on practice jerseys for our red team or our construction team, because they wear those orange construction jerseys. We put numbers on them, and then we might just, if it's the second night of a Friday, Saturday, we might just lay the numbers on a chair. Okay, here's all the threes. 3, 13, and 23. What common number is in there? 3. 3, 13, and 23 are threes. We can't let them shoot a three without dribbling the ball. So that way we're building our preparation for their personnel without going nuts on it. Then posts. We want to know who the guys are, though. Post. MBOs. Those are must block outs. MBOs. They must be blocked out. You lay the lumber to them. If you have to, you pass protection block them. And don't worry about getting the ball. If he gets it, you're coming out. If you get it, you're coming out. Don't let him get it. If it hits you on the butt, that's okay. Just don't let him get the ball, because he's a bear on the offensive boards. Then we got double gap. That's just getting off the guys. Okay, now, that next thing, our defense, our offense. These are just pointers. And what I do is I go to our maintenance shed, which looks over to our gym, second half of the girls' game. I watch the first half of the girls' game. Then I go up to our booster room and do a scouting report on the game that night. Talk a little bit about our philosophy or something, and then a little bit about the opponent, what they can look for. Then I go down and I start highlighting certain things for that game. Now, I've been doing it all week on one of these, carrying it to practice. But then I do it again and again. Now, that's a big thing in coaching. I'll be close to coaching 1,200 games here pretty soon. And I'm still learning how to get ready to coach a game. My way of getting ready is not to talk to people much. I don't like people anyway. And I certainly don't like them on game days. So I just try to stay by my, I don't want to eat with our players, because I don't want to see one of them joking and laughing, and I'm thinking we're going to get killed. And they know that, and I like to walk around and pick up trash. Little pieces of lint or popcorn. And I like to do it in the hallway where they're all stretching and loosening. so they know I'm nervous and I'm ready to kill somebody. Now we have a procedure during the day. We shoot maybe for at the most a half hour, 45 minutes, and we'll work on a few little situations. But we always meet as a group with the bigs and the smalls about 7:15 if it's an 8 o'clock game. And that takes maybe 2-3 minutes. And the position coaches, I listen to the different position coaches, and that's their chance to tell the guys what to be ready to do. And then we all go over the report one more time on the board, and the guy guarding those guys says what it is. We're doing a tape with Championship Productions. They came up and shot 4 morning practices and a complete game. Post-game, pre-game, halftime, stretching afterwards, and everybody screaming after the game and stuff like that. It's really good about the insides of a program. But they come out to warm up, I'll be waiting for them, and I've got something to say to them before they go out to warm up about how every one of our warm-ups is another practice. And we play 30 games and warm up 20 minutes. That's 10 hours we get to practice nobody else gets to. So this better be a good practice. And we go out and watch it. We don't stay down like the Division I coaches. We come out and watch our guys practice. And then we'd like to see if some guy out there breaks both legs on the other team. And sometimes we even throw banana peels out to try to make that happen. You know, stuff like that. We'd like to know, and we feel like it's a teaching time to watch our guys shooting the ball, are they following through, are the passes zipping around, and then we'll work on, our kids devise the warm-up, but it's all fundamental stuff that we do. Okay, then I'll put 3 things for defense, maybe 3 things for offense in those blank spots. But most of it's already up there in the coaching points. And I'll put it all in yellow, and then I'll take an orange marker and highlight the really important stuff. You know, because orange is a color everybody picks up. Now, down there where it says uncomfortable pace, that's just another way of saying what Gene Bess, who's the winningest junior college coach of all time, he said, I've only learned one thing coaching basketball. Your teams have to play very, very, very hard. You have to play at an uncomfortable pace, or why condition? Some teams decondition like baseball teams do once they start playing games because they don't play hard. Second thing, intensity and technique equals hustle plays. You can have all the intensity of a mad dog in a meat house. All you're going to get is a bullet between your eyes if you don't have technique. You got to have intensity and technique, and then you can make hustle plays. You can make smart plays. Substitution for defense. If kids aren't guarding, you better get their butts out or you're going to lose. And they will always rest on defense first. So you got to make sure in your off-season work, we always play make it, take it. We never let the team that got scored on have the ball. I think that's the way basketball should be played. If you score, take it out and go the other way. Why should you get the ball in football when you get scored on? In baseball, you score a run, they don't say, okay, now it's their turn to bat. But in the off-season, don't reward poor defense by letting them have the ball. It's make it, take it. Condition, depth, and fouls. What 3 factors are bigger factors in games other than during the NCAA tournament when they got the 4-minute timeout that lasts 8 minutes? Geez, I think I could play in those games. We played an exhibition game at Kentucky one year, and the timeouts were so long we had to bring comic books to read to them. Because we didn't have anything to tell them. So conditioning and then depth, quality depth. Now, late in the season and on road games, you might not play your young kids as much. But if you're kicking somebody's butt and you don't play your young kids and develop depth for the next year, you deserve to get your butt kicked. There's a team in our area, a high school team, they would bring in 4 subs when they had a team down by 30 and keep the guy they wanted to break the state scoring record in. You don't think those coaches in that league their blood pressure doesn't shoot up when they play that guy? If he changes jobs, they'll go to his district just to get a chance to play him and kick his butt. And then fouls. We do way too little in teaching fouling and getting to the free throw line. Knight was the best at getting to the free throw line. He taught that to Krzyzewski. I've never been able to figure out how Duke can have absolutely no inside game and shoot more free throws than the whole rest of the ACC. But he's great with the officials, and Dick Vitale's helping him too. So he's got it going, you know what I mean? But you know, you earn that when you've coached as long as he has. You earn those calls sometimes. Just like veteran players in the league get calls too. Now, ball pressure without penetration and fouling. That's a Bobby Knight, and it's the greatest I've ever heard. How much do we pressure the ball? As much as we can without penetration and fouling. Because penetration kills, right? Penetration kills you. So we pressure the ball as much as we can without penetration and fouling. Because you can't guard free throws. I figured you can't do it. We've tried to guard them, but you just can't guard free throws. Now, sometimes the basketball gods smile on you when you're getting cheated by the officials and they make the other team miss the free throws. And if you're a poor rebounding team, they'll make them miss it so it hits and bounces over the backboard so you don't even have to rebound it. But that doesn't happen very often. Now, underneath that, it's got the types of defense we play. Now, we play pressure man-to-man. We try not to let the ball be reversed. But let's say we're really slow. We might not be able to play that way. We play pack very seldom, but if we absolutely can't guard the ball, we'll just say back it up and guard the arc. That's sort of our pack. Then we play some matchup, either a 1-1-3 or out of a 1-3-1. It's the same thing, but it's really hard to get into a matchup 1-3-1 transition. It's easier to get into a 1-1-3 in transition. And then we got match and one. That's just playing our matchup with one guy guarding a guy man-to-man. I'd rather just play man-to-man and no catch a guy. It's simpler. But one thing about your zone or your matchup or your secondary defense, you got to use the same techniques and principles that you do in your regular defense. You can't force middle in the zone, force baseline in the man-to-man, because they can't learn two conflicting habits, and that's Coach Krzyzewski. That's a really good point. They can't teach and learn two conflicting habits. I've got this listed off to the right. Stance. This is the stages of defense, technique-wise. Stance. You have to be in a stance. That's a physical and a mental stance. You got to want to kick their butt. You got to take it like, come on out here, bud. You know, we demonstrate it this way. Say, we want you to guard a guy like this. That's how we want you to guard him. You don't. Your dad's not a lawyer, is he? No. Okay, good, good. But we want to get that type of attitude. We just want to grab the guy by the throat and rip his thyroid out. We want to get into him. So, a mental stance and then good defensive stance. And number two, vision. You can't determine your position unless you have vision of everything that's going on, and particularly the ball. So you got to see the ball, you got to see your man, you got to see everything you can see. Number three, you get into position. Then once you're in the position, you talk. You talk to the ball and the people in front of you. And talking is the hallmark of great teams, no matter the sport. Doesn't matter if it's baseball, football, basketball, any sport. The teams that talk are the teams that are really good teams. And then you have to anticipate while you're in position and talking. If you're not a great athlete, you have to be a great anticipator. If you are a great athlete and a great anticipator, you have one of those guys, you're going to have a great defensive team. Just one of them. Don't ever let him guard the best player, though. Put him on dork so he can really be free to anticipate and go wherever he wants. Rotation. You've got to rotate when things happen that are bad. Now, here's the best thing I think you can do to teach rotation. Play 3-on-4, 4-on-5, 5-on-6, and keep playing it. So when the 4 get it against the 5, they're being trapped. That's your best way to learn press offense and handling pressure and keeping the ball ahead of the traps. And just play until the whistle blows. I like that. Play until the whistle blows. Nothing will help your transition and talk or your fast break more than to play every drill until the whistle blows. What stops action in the game? The whistle. So always play until the whistle blows, boys. Just play until the whistle blows. If the ball went 15 rows up in the bleachers and they get it and there's no whistle, you keep playing in a game, right? Come out here again, my man. You sure your dad's not a lawyer? Hold your hand out. No, we're not shaking hands, buddy. Okay, is that a foul? Is that a foul? Was there a whistle? No. Is this a foul? Now, let's say I go like this and the whistle blows. Is that a foul? It is. So the whistle controls everything. And then you constantly got to try to improve technique without making them think too much. You know, Jerry Tarkanian, the more they think, the slower their feet get. That's why the teams that have real low graduation rates usually have really quick guys. You know, because they don't bother about going to class and thinking too much, you know. Now, this box down in the lower left, this is special things we do. 2 hands on the head. That means we're going to double deny their best receiver, their best handler. Like if we're playing Davidson, the guy guarding the Davidson point guard would be between him and his defensive basket, and the guy guarding the out-of-bounds guy would be denying that Davidson guy. Richards was his name, wasn't it? He'd deny Richards. So we don't want him to have the dang ball. Make Curry dribble it up the floor. Curry's a lot less effective off the dribble than he is off the pass. So make somebody else bring it up. Make the 4-man take it up the floor. That'll be exciting. Now, it might not be as exciting against Davidson because they're not, you know, they're all undersized. But it'd be real fun against, you know, Memphis to see Dorsey or some of those guys bringing it up. But it'd sure be better than that point guard they got that's one and done bringing it up. Okay, the next one, smart trap the handler. Then if we give this signal, that means we're going to trap the good ball handler and we're not rotating. We're not shooting the gap. Let them throw it back. So we have a dork guy come over and trap, throw it back to the dork. Now deny him again. Don't let him have it back. Point guard denial. That simply means half court. Don't let the point guard have the ball back because everything they do is run through him. No catch, no help. We talked about that, right? Steer, control, zipper. Why don't you bring the ball, come out again. Give him a ball, yeah. Here you go. Just stand right here. If we steer the ball, I'm up here, and we're forcing it baseline, he's got to arc it. If we control the ball, square it up, I'm right here. Guarding the yard either way. If we zip it up, we're right here, and he absolutely has to go, and we're going to shove it down there and trap it or whatever we're going to do. If we were playing against a delay game, 4 corners, we would zip it up once it got to the side and force it down in here. Thank you. Now, attacking the post. If their post is good enough that he needs to be attacked or trapped, we can go off the passer and then rotate out of that. Because the guy guarding the traps, he can't get back to the shooter. So you got to get a rotation where they're cheating over and anticipating. We can go off a wolf. That means we got one designated wolf who's going to go off the bad player, and we're not going to rotate back out to the non-shooter. We can bring the high eye. You know, whoever the help side guard is, he can come down and trap the post. We can bring the low eye. Let's say we're playing defense like this, then the low eye can come and trap. And obviously, if they throw a baseline bounce pass, that help side forward or low eye or hoop has to come and stop it anyway. So those are all the things we can do. Some people like to go big on big. That's good, but the negative to big on big is you don't have any bigs rebounding all the time. You know, if they get a shot off. Now, shadow. Shadow is a Bob Kloppenberg term where the guy guarding the man out of bounds who threw it in, he's there helping that guy guarding the ball, shadowing the ball. And he can come and trap. And boy, that gives a lot of people trouble. If you'll trap once in a while or fake a trap or just be a pain in the rear as a shadow. That's tough. Trap the ball back to the middle. Whenever the ball turns its back to the middle of the floor, come and get the ball. One of the best things I ever heard Knight say was the ball. He always talked about the ball like it was a human being. Like we tell our guys sometimes, if the ball had eyes, would they be open when you have the ball? If the ball had eyes, would they be open when you had the ball? Some guys, the ball's eyes are shut because they can't see anybody. But when the ball can't see you coming, that's when we like to trap. We don't like to trap up the sideline where the ball can see us coming. We like to come from the blind side to trap the ball, and then the ball will get thrown laterally. A lot easier to intercept that for a layup than it is the one that's thrown up the floor. So we like trapping coming from the middle of the floor. Trap the dribbler, you get a guy out of control. Trapping the wing pass, you know that first pass, the North Carolina scramble or Jim Larinaga scramble, where you trap that first pass. Let's line up in a 1-4 low real quick. Let's get a white team and a black team on defense. White team on offense. Now, when people run a 1-4 low, they usually have their best player on top, don't they? Well, who's guarding their best player? Your best player. So let's put your best player over here. Come on, best player, come over here. You go on top. You're over here now. Now, this is our worst player, so who's guarding him? Their worst player. So we're going to have our worst player come over here, Walsh. All these guys are named Walsh. Got their jerseys on backwards. Okay, hand it off. Now what do teams do on this? They switch. So what do we got now? We got their worst on our best. So you got to, if teams run this, this is good to hand off to your best against their worst. Take the principal's son to the point. Take him over, hand it off to the farm boy, and let him take the principal's son from the other team. But how do you guard a 1-4 low? Okay, let's say, just for simplicity, this guy's the worst shooter in the world. So as soon as he crosses half court, you're coming to trap. We call this dork trapping, leaving the dork. Now, are you going to run out and guard him? No, you're going to encourage him to shoot. Tell him, take out your slide rule out of your nerd pack and fire it up. You're right there. You're right here. In here. Come on over here and sit on this guy. Because we forced him over there, see? 3 can guard 4, especially if one of the 4 can't shoot. But 3 can guard 4 if you get the ball to one side of the floor. Because if he skips it back, you can travel on air time. Now that's a big phrase, travel on air time of the ball. Because the poor defenses don't. They wait until the ball's caught and then they travel. Travel on air time, not on reception time. So this is dork trapping. Let's do it. Dork trap. Bring it across the half line. Go and guard him, guard him, guard him, guard him, guard him. Okay, let's go. Keep him left now. Left, left. Bring it, bring it. Okay, just stop now. As soon as you see him move a hand to the ball, then you got to get back, okay? As soon as he does it. Let's do it again. This is dork trapping the 1-4 low. How many of you face the 1-4 low? Okay, here we go. Bring it. Get him. Get him, get him. Now you're back. Good, stop. Now you can fake, but it doesn't have to be much of a fake because you really want him to shoot. Okay, now let's say he's a really good shooter. And he's a really good shooter. So now, throw it out again. Now we're going to cross fist. This is the only trap we have where the trap comes up the sideline. The trap they can see the trap coming. You're going to go trap, trap. You're going to rotate. Come on over. Now we got to be moving over as the ball moves over here. Okay, now throw it. Here you are. Run. run. Okay, just like that. They just rotate over a man because it's usually short seconds anyway. Now, how many of you are in states that are going to go to a shot clock? I mean, I like the shot clock in high school, that 8-minute shot clock. Because then you know if you get a lead, you hold the ball and make the other sucker pay for being a poor defensive team. But in colleges, it's all about television, so everybody plays the same. Everybody takes bad shots. Nobody knows what to do in short seconds. Next year, it'll be even worse with that line back a foot, and I don't know whose brilliant idea that was. They couldn't go international distance and let the girls shoot the international shot too. Then you wouldn't have 50 lines on the floor. But they're going to go a foot, and that's going to drop the shooting percentages. There's going to be more zoning, more physical play in college because the people are going to take shots out there that can't make them. Okay, another thing you can do, line up again on the 1-4. Now, as soon as we yell 2, you run up here, and it's a tandem zone, and you're back. You're a wing on this one. Okay, thanks. Now, right there. It's just a 1-1-3. You just rotate into a 1-1-3 when you see that. Especially if that guy's hell on wheels on top, because he's going to go around one guy or two guys anyway. So just have 2 guys guard him, and then just 3 guard 4 in the baseline. You got to take away what they do best, don't you? That's what you got to do. Okay, thank you guys. Now, on the upper right part of this, it says primary. That's primary break. We want to crack the shell. If you've got a point guard who's good, the hardest thing to guard is a guy with the ball who's going like a bat out of hell. It's hard to guard. Just go until he can't be stopped. What do teams do late in the game? They just dribble all the way to the basket. How about the one with Duke and Belmont? It was like the Red Sea offense. It just parted, and he went through the lane, and he didn't get his feet wet. You got to stop the ball. There's got to be a shadow trap. How about Memphis and Kansas? There was no shadow trap there, was there? How about LSU women and Tennessee women? Here's what you do. Let the best girls player in the country catch the ball and dribble 4 times with her right hand, even though her left shoulder's dislocated. And don't shadow trap her, or don't make her cross over and use her left hand. Why not just keep her from catching the ball and do this, huh? See, this is why you got to have this little crap, so you can have situations that you can use. You don't have to do it all the time, but if you got really good athletes. The Bulls did a great job when they were really good at not letting a good handler have the ball back. That's all they did. They just kept the ball in the hands of the good handler. Now, it says on here, first 10. The first 10 seconds, it's got to be sweet. Like a layup, or the postman breaks his leg and your post is wide open. If it's not sweet in the first 10 seconds, you shouldn't be shooting it. Move on. It's either sweet or move on. Then you get to the last 10 seconds on the college clock, you got to get a great shot in the last 10 seconds. So you got to know what you're going to do in short seconds. Now, what are we going to do in short seconds? Now, the secondary. Secondary is when you can't break the shell in the primary, what are you going to do? We try to reverse the ball and look at our postman, sealing, not chasing the ball. When do we go into motion? When we get the ball reversed or when we can't. If we can't reverse the ball, then we're in motion. If we get the ball reversed, then we're in motion. We want to move. We don't have a real pattern secondary break. We've run every kind there is. The guy at Blackhawk, Dean Smith's watching this practice, and they're running the Carolina secondary with a back pick. And Dean Smith's trying to be funny, like, you know, how humorous he was. And he says, "Hey, John, that's a heck of a break there. Where'd you get that?" He says, "Oh, we got it from Don Meyer." And Dean says, "Oh, yeah, we get a lot of stuff from Don, too. We run that, too." So Dean was being funny there. But I think you're better when you don't have a patterned secondary. You know, maybe some guys, if they run flex out of their secondary. You got to determine what you want to do, but I don't think you can run too much stuff because they think again. So we just try to have the ball moving and people moving at the half line. If we can get a reverse, great. If we can't, we love the top-down feed, obviously. I really believe if Kansas would have run their old top-down offense, they'd have won by 15 points against Memphis. I think the constant ball screening, it's like throwing all fastballs. You can throw harder than anybody in baseball, but if you throw all fastballs, they're just going to rip the crap out of it. I think ball screens are good, but not all the time. Not all the time. Because even an idiot will figure out how to guard ball screens after a while. So I think you got to have a little, you know, I like the top downs because it's just impossible to guard it. You know, you can't guard top-down feeds if they're well executed. Now, then it says, how's the post guarded? We want to know how they're going to guard our posts. Because we want to have an inside game. Contrary to what everybody else wants now. The dribble motion offense, I still haven't figured it out. Sort of looks European to me. Sort of looks European, but then all the guys that run it, they add ball screens, so now it's not European. All the ball screens they set for the good guard that's leaving for the pros, all Kansas did was just come out and guard the crap out of him because they knew they weren't going to hit the roller. So you got to have a balance in what you do or you're not going to be very good. And you got to get fouled. You got to get fouled. Who's guarding our, you know, we want to go favorite side to our posts early and often. Every postman's got a favorite side. Everybody better know what it is, and he better know what his go-to move is and what his counter move is. And if he knows anything else, name, rank, and serial number, and that's it. He doesn't need to know much more than that. And you don't need much more because you can't do much more inside because it's just it's brutal in there. It's unbelievably brutal. So you got to keep it really simple. Then we got who's guarding our playmakers. Who's guarding our guys that can make plays? Because we might have to do a best take it to the worst. Because our best can't beat their best. But our best could beat their worst. So we got to develop a switch. One time Calvert Chaney was playing for Indiana and they were playing UCLA. And they had a real good guy guarding him. I think his name was Murray. Pete Newell told Knight, just run some screens and let Chaney screen because UCLA will switch. And when Murray's off of him, just tell Chaney to take whoever's guarding him. You got to be willing to let your guy that can play a little bit when he gets a dork guarding him. And you can't yell at him. Now, if he tries to do that same thing against their best player, then that's being a hero and trying to have a personal challenge rather than just being a smart player. We had a kid one night that was being guarded by a guy who didn't want to guard him. So we ran 2 out, 3 in, and we took that sucker inside and just ran the crap out of him. The kid transferred in that small school in Tennessee and led the Big 12 in scoring 2 years in a row at Texas A&M. But that night he didn't score very many points because his tongue was dragging when he went back across the half line because he was chasing this kid all over. So there's a lot of little things you do that can maybe change the whole game just using the maybe one player you have that you can use on offense. Now, who are our early threes? We always want to know our early threes. Now, it's got spacing, angles, and momentum. That is offense when you think about it. Spacing, feeding angles, and then going against the defensive momentum when they come running at you. Shot fake, skip passes, going at people and penetrate. Who do we want to get open? Sometimes we'll be running motion and we'll say, get Craig open. So everybody starts getting Craig open. Guess who gets open then? Everybody else, because the defense hears you yelling, get Craig open. Well, they're going to stop that. Then they can slip off screens or make pipe cuts up the lane to get the ball. Who do we want to exploit? On top twice. We would like to get the ball on top twice if it's not sweet early. We'd like to get the ball on top of the circle at least twice. Have a screening mind, be in motion when the ball hits the half line. Sometimes we have to take the dribble out to get that. Then it's got cut and space gaggle. Let's get 5 of the white team on real quick. Give the ball to the guy in the post. Okay, we ready? Get a post man. Feed him from the wing. Now, are you the worst shooter on the perimeter? Who is? Who's the worst shooter on the perimeter? You are right now, because obviously the fact you answered, you must be the worst. You know, it's not who farted. Not me. Not me. You know it's that guy every time. Okay, now, you're going to feed the post and you're going to dive. You're going to go to the rim. Feed him. Now, he wants to cut about 6 feet off like he did. If he feeds him from down here, he can cut on the baseline. Now, we always used to do this. We'd fill the corner. Come on, fill the corner. You can go there and dive. We'd fill here, and then we'd fill up here somewhere. But you'd be down there. Well, this is a bad place to have somebody, because now if he wants to make a move, what's going to happen? And this is easy to get in and get out from. Plus, what's he got to do? Well, let's have you go up there. You move over there. You move to the corner. Now, when you watch the Spurs, this is what they do. When Duncan catches it there, there's nobody near him. He never has to look behind him because there's never anybody there. Now, you can't spot 4 people up on the perimeter. You can't spot up 4 people. So one person has to dive. And we like to have our worst shooter dive. One year we had a point guard who was the MVP of our conference tournament, 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, and never attempted a 3-point shot. He was our diver. The only 15-footers he took were free throws. And that he never took a shot outside of 15 feet that wasn't a free throw. He dove every time. He was a diver. He could finish. He was a thick 6-foot white guard that could finish. Your worst 3 is going to dive. And then he's going to screen in down there. Who's that guy in the far corner for the Spurs? Who's always in the corner? Bowen. Bowen goes over there every time, and they call that a gaggle away from the ball. So he's in the post. He's looking over his left shoulder for the dive. He always looks middle for the dive. Now, there's his first pass. There's his second pass. That one will almost always be open. And then he can screen in and he can slip. There's all kinds of crap that can happen. We really like that. That's called cut and space gaggle. Okay, now let's do drive and space. Let's take the ball here. You got the ball. You're going to drive it. You're going to drive it now. If you were a real good 3, you could do a 33. That's a 3-to-3. Are you a good 3? No. So you're going to move over here. Right here, looking for the ball. Now, you're going to get right behind the crack of his butt, cracking back. You're going to be baseline drift right down there. If you're a shooter, you're a 3. You've got to go back another foot. Go back. Okay, and then you're going to be diagonal. So these are your 3 passes. And this guy might even move up here if there's a window. If there's a window, he'll move up here. Then when he gets it, he can look right down here at him. So let's try that. So we got drive, we got drift, crack back, top, and then we got the big in the middle. Let's watch it. Drive in space. Good. Good. Okay, now there's all kinds of techniques on how to pivot to protect the ball and stuff like that, but we don't have time to cover all of that. Okay, I like number of passes. When they're dribbling too much, just tell them they got to make 7 passes, or 5 passes, or if it's Hoosiers, 4 passes. But I like making, in a game, when we're kicking somebody's butt, we'll for sure do it. Or if we're dribbling too much, we'll just say, don't dribble. Just move the ball, make passes. Every pass is a shot, every shot is a pass. You throw a crappy pass, you get a crappy shot. If I drive to the basket, drive to the hoop. Big man comes to help, shoot the ball. No, take it into the rack, take it in. Yeah, and just shoot it over the basket. There you go, shoot it. That's your rebound, right? Because your man's helping. So every shot's a pass. Every shot's a pass. If you're not getting the ball, big guys, then go rebound. Al McGuire had a zone attack where he put 2 guys in the baseline, and he told them, you will never be past the ball. They became unbelievable offensive rebounders when they heard that. You will never get a pass in this zone offense, so you better be ready to rebound. And they were hell on the boards then. They were great. Now, we run 4 out with cutters and screeners. We designate 2 screeners, 2 cutters, and a post. We run 3 out, 2 posts. We might put a perimeter and a post in if they had a real bad defender or a guy in foul trouble. 3 out, 2 in, trying to go high-low. We run 2 out, 3 in. We really like that because we can put 1 good player in there and get 2 guys screening for him, and you can't switch it. If he's a good perimeter, you can't switch it. We might run what we call 5, and that's just 4 motion with the guy playing at the free throw line. And then 5 highs our delay game when everybody's above the top of the circle. And it opens it up for drives and cuts and crap like that. Now, short seconds. Let me show you some things we can do in short seconds. First thing, let's just line up like everybody does. Put a good shooter down there. You're over here. You come up here and set the pick. You can be over there. Everybody runs this. They set the screen about here. He comes at an angle. If this guy's a 4 that can shoot it, he pops. He tries to play with this guy, and then he plays with the big. If this is a 4 that can't shoot it, he'll roll. You'll fill, and they just go top down. If the 5 said it, he'd roll and fill, wouldn't he? So it's either a pick and pop or a pick and roll with that what we call an up screen. This is our signal for it. Now, they got to know how they're going to guard that. You got to know how the other team guards it so you know what you're going to do and take advantage of it. Okay, here's what we call a flat screen or a Florida screen. And you just stand about a yard there, right there. He just comes up like this. You see this a lot. And then he goes. If he goes here, you move across. If he goes here, you can just stay there. And then this guy will pop for the shot, or if he's a big, he'll roll, and you'll fill. So you got the up screen like this. You got the flat screen coming straight in. Now, sometimes you can twist the flat screen. Twist the flat screen. I'm guarding it. He's right-handed. I'm going to play over here. We'll force him this way. Then you just change the angle like that, and then come off that way. Just twist it, because they tried to force him over. So that's a flat screen. Now, everybody knows how to run 1-4 down, right? And now you can do the handoff going best to worst or worst to best. Open alley. Open alley. You're going to be a shooter there. You're a shooter. You're just going to bring it over here. And now you're going to go right down the alley. And you're playing with 2 shooters and a big. And that's probably better because most of the teams I see on television, I don't watch a lot of games, but I like to watch games. I really like to watch games. The last 2 minutes of a game, the last 3 minutes of a game, watch situations. And then I got a little book and I write in there, and then I study that every once in a while because that's good stuff to study. Or I'll talk to our players about it. If I knew how to run our VCR, I'd actually tape it and then be able to cut it out, but I don't know how to run the VCR because it's too technologically advanced for me. But those are the things we do in short seconds. Now let's go to the back of the sheet to the special situations. Let's do a 10-man jump ball. Let's go. 10-man jump ball. Okay, line up the way you would for a jump ball. Okay, the whites are going there. Blacks are going there. Now, almost everything you see on television, all the black team will be on this side, and all the white team will be over there. So everybody just gives up. And whoever gets the tip back wins it. So here's what we try to do. We try to stand by the guy we're guarding. Let's do that to start with. Stand by the guy you're guarding. Okay, now we're going to work, since you're the smallest guy, we're going to try and give him the advantage. We're going to steal it from him. Okay, now he's right-handed, so where do you think he's going to tip the ball? Where will he tip it? Will he tip it like this? You ever see a guy tip it like that? How's he going to tip it? There it is, right there, isn't it? Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to stand next to him and you're getting in here and taking away this sandwich. You got to take away this sandwich. You got to create a sandwich and you got to bust into their sandwich. Now, where's our guy going to tip the ball? Well, he's going to tip it right here probably, right? Now, another thing I can do on the tip, steal the tip. None of these guys can toss it up right. They'll toss it up like that. They toss it too short. They toss it too high. Get ready and go up. When he's right there, start going up. If you wait and play fair, you'll never get the tip. But you're trying to break into their sandwich. Steal the tip if you can't do anything else. What's the worst thing that can happen? They get the ball out of bounds. They don't score a fast break layup. If they got a 7-footer, put your foot inside the circle, so they got to take it out on the side, rather than tipping it and getting a dunk. You got to look at that. We really want that tip. We want that one extra possession because they're one-possession games. Now, how many of you here? Thanks, guys. Let's give them a hand. A hand. A hand. Jeez. Give them a hand. Guys, let's do one push-up for these coaches. They're so stupid they clapped. Let's go. All the guys down. Let's go. Hey, what? Hold it. Tattoo, what's your deal there? Huh? You fail to fall off if you do a push-up or what? Are you in the injury list? Okay, out here, everybody's doing push-ups. Let's go. We got to do one. I'll count it for you. Okay. Down. Now, this is what's called a frozen push-up. We're from South Dakota where there were a lot of buffalo and the Indian killed the buffalo. So we were looking at a Funk and Wagnall dictionary and it had a picture of Indians listening for the buffalo. So sometimes when our guys don't listen real well, we get them down here and they can really, see this guy can hear really well when he turns his ear to the floor. So if we're working on don't let them drive the middle and somebody drives the middle, we say frozen push-up. They all run to the side of the floor because they're sweating. We don't want to drip on the floor. Hey, what are you doing there, buddy? Let's drop down a little bit. You got a push-up bra on or something? Let's get down a little closer. Now you guys want to look straight. Hey, you can't cheat. Hey, if I have a whistle lanyard, I whip them with the whistle lanyard. That really hurts, especially if you wet it. You got to wet it and let it soak all night. But see, this is better than making them run, because if they run, they're cussing under their breath, and you can't hear them. But we like the frozen push-up. That's good. Get up. Oh, stop. In camp, we do this. Now, when I tell you to sit up, you got to sit up and get your legs crossed as quick as you can. You're down. Sit up. Too slow. Down. Let's go. Down. Let's go. Sit up. Too slow. Right there. We'd do it all day for you. Down. Let's go. Let's go. Ready. You know, older coaches sometimes forget what the next step is. You know what I mean? You better pray. Hey, get off the floor, man. Sit up. Let's go. Quick. Now, they'll get quicker. But you just got to, that's a good little thing to make them think about what they're doing sometimes and get their attention. Doesn't take much. Okay, let's give them a hand. Okay. Now, how many of you here would call a timeout to get a loose ball? How many of you say don't call a timeout to get a loose ball? Now, here's what we do. We tell them any time you think there's going to be a jump ball, call timeout so we get the possession. Because there's nothing we can tell you that will help us more than getting that possession. Hope you enjoyed what we tried to present today regarding game planning and special situations. If there's any way we can help you or your program, please get in touch with us at Northern State University, Aberdeen, South Dakota. We appreciate having a chance to work with you and hope to hear from you in the future.